today I'm going to react once again to how strong is the United States military and why is the US military. This hits home because I'm military, my family was military, great grandparents, all that, tons of friends that are also family. It is insane how deep it goes. Um, so it hits strong, and I'm excited to see what people think the reasoning is. I have my own opinions. Everybody has their own opinion. Cool. We all have our own opinion, and yeah, we're all thinking the same. Um, like, subscribe, hook me up. Let's see how it goes. All right. Without further ado, go.
Why is the US military the strongest? Great military powers have been appearing and disappearing since the beginning of history. Now is the time for the United States of America to be the leader in military might. But what makes it so powerful? Will its power remain undisputed? Are there already signs of weakness? Would it really stand in a conflict with potential rivals like China or Russia? To find out, we should analyse why exactly the US military is considered the strongest. The numbers. The US has 1,400,000 active military personnel. This figure places it in third place in this category. China has the largest army with slightly above 2 million soldiers, while India comes in second place. This doesn't sound that impressive, but what makes the US military stand out is not necessarily the raw number of men. The US has unquestionable air supremacy. The US military is number one in air power, with 13,264 total military aircraft, a total that is greater than the other five greatest air forces combined.
Well, and let's be real. We see with the recent conflict with Ukraine and Russia, and we all thought Russia was great. I mean, look at it. Russia's number two, but we've noticed that they might have the numbers, but they don't have the skill, or they're not really big threat. We have stuff that'll take them down before they even realize they're in the air or taken down from the air. So, am I afraid of Russia? Yeah, but not for that reason. I got other reasons.
2,085 are air-to-air fighters, 715 ground attack aircraft, 945 transportation aircraft, 5,768 helicopters, and 967 attack helicopters. The US is number one in each aircraft category except for air-to-ground forces, where it's slightly topped by Russia. The US has a powerful navy that is designed to work in conjunction with its air forces. It has 20 aircraft carriers, 11 are regular fixed-wing carriers, while 9 are capable of hosting only helicopters and short takeoff planes like the F-35B. This is almost half of the world's total number of aircraft carriers, while most of the others belong to
Look at
allied
that.
countries.
20. 20. Why? We are everywhere. This is awesome. Yes, not all of them are out to sea at once. Not how it works. We have a rotation. There's a reason why we do the things we do. If you send everything out, you have nobody home. You can't defend the homeland. But wow, like that's a whole. Think about it. There's so many aircraft on a carrier. Then you got the helicopters or the rotary wings. Like, man, it's insane.
If we take into account only regular fixed-wing aircraft capacity,
Well, on top of that, think of the personnel that are on that aircraft carrier. You have maintainers, and you got the people that do the food and that can drive the ship, and they do. You got the like the HVAC system guys. You got the generator people. You got all sorts of things to keep that ship up and running. And then you have the pilots, and then you have the Marine Corps, the Navy SEALs, and whoever else might be assigned to that ship. It is a city, and it's insane. And then I think they even have civilian personnel that run the stores and all that. Because I believe they have stores on board too, so they can buy like candies and food and whatever. I've never been on one that's operational. I've been to museums, not the same. But man, I've heard stories, and It's big.
The total combined deck space of the US aircraft carriers is over twice that of all the other nations combined. To complement this, the US Navy has the greatest number of destroyers and ranks third in the number of submarines.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Look at number one, North Korea. Really? Who's really afraid? North Korea's trying to focus on their missiles and they're having issues there. They're getting close, but they're having issues. North Korea is not made for long haul, let's take over the world. They think they are, but they're not made for that. China, same. They're made for border battles. They're not made for crossing the ocean and coming towards America. It's not like Red Dawn. It's not gonna happen. But they have numbers. And China's kind of scary too. They have the numbers, and I bet they have the technology since they make everything.
The numbers of the US naval strength are a bit tricky. If we count the total number of naval assets, the US falls in fourth place, behind Russia and China, and even behind North Korea, that boasts a surprising first place. However, in case of a maritime conflict, it would still be hard to counter the power of the US Navy, supported by overwhelming air supremacy and allied forces.
Oh yeah, they're ridiculous.
Land power. The US is slightly behind Russia regarding raw numbers. America.
All right. Stop comparing us to Russia. I know we're only doing it for numbers. But, one, look at Russia. Look how fast their troops are giving up. And then look at their leadership. Their leadership is so dirty, selling fuel and whatnot. Who sends a whole convoy of trucks and tanks and all that close in a line? Knowing that all you need is aircraft to come in and drop and destroy that first set of vehicles. Now everything is stuck there because it's so wet around that fields that they're all getting stuck. So you destroy the first part, then you destroy the back part. Now they're stuck there. And then how many fuel trucks are in there? You hit those; those are blowing up. Now you also have their resupply trucks that have their food and water and all that. You destroy those. Now these soldiers on the ground are hungry. Their morale is gone. They are just not wanting to be there, and they don't know why they are there. That is what Russia is doing. They're saying Ukraine did this, Ukraine did that. We must go get Ukraine, and yet they don't know the truth because they are controlled media, just like North Korea controlled media. So we gotta, yeah, it's one of those. It's don't compare us because we see how bad it is.
American ground forces number 6,289 tanks, 39,000 armoured vehicles, 1,465 self-propelled artillery, and 1,366 rocket projectors. However, Russia has a lot of outdated vehicles with questionable performance in case of a real conflict. Meanwhile, the US military has a broad technological edge. The US has 5,800 nuclear warheads that make it the world's second largest in nuclear war power. In this video, we're analysing the conventional military strength, but it can't be denied that a nuclear arsenal does bring a certain status. Even if things don't escalate to a full-blown nuclear war, it's intimidating to any country to be armoured with such nuclear power. The quality. The US Army consists entirely of trained professionals, and many have real combat experience. Since the beginning of this century, the US has been involved in military conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Somalia, Libya, Uganda, and Yemen. While other countries still rely on conscripts to fill the numbers, the US can field an army of well-trained, experienced professionals. The equipment, the military assets...
Oh, hold up! That was the Air Force right there, baby! Look! Look on his head, it says PJ.
Field an army of well-trained, experienced professionals.
Back up!
To fill the numbers, the US can field an army of well-trained, experienced professionals.
Oh yeah, baby! That's the Air Force right there. You better watch out. Don't compare. No. Yeah. Learn your stuff.
The equipment, the military assets, and the technology used in combat have excellent quality. This is the
Definitely Marine Corps.
defining
You
reason
can
why
tell my
US
arm,
casualties
the
are
military
usually fewer
pattern,
than
the
those of their
uniform pattern.
adversaries.
Oh,
A strong ability to project power is another
definitely
defining
Navy.
trait of the United States military. Size, technology, and experience are nothing if you can't reach the
The
enemy.
Marine Corps.
Power projection is the ability of a state to
Oh,
deploy and
joint
sustain
ops with a
forces
different
outside
country.
its territory.
Who is that?
Only a few states are capable to overcome the difficulties that involve power projection,
Dope,
and the
dope,
US excels
dope.
at it. This is made possible by several factors. The home base of the US is safe. The neighbouring countries are friendly. Potential enemies are far away. The large landmass makes it a country that is hard to invade. It also has coastlines along two oceans and
Yeah, we got coastlines along two oceans, but if you look along those coasts, right here and right there, think of where all the military bases are. They're all along the coast. You ain't coming in there. Get out of here with that shit.
strategic islands that hold military bases. The US forces can reach far, fast, and deploy great numbers of forces supported by the enforcement of air and sea superiority, combined with excellent transportation
Been
capabilities.
there.
Even if it
Done
doesn't
that.
engage in combat,
sucks.
the US can enforce
such a
naval
cool
and
video
air
or
blockades
shot.
that can severely
That's
cripple an
sexy.
enemy's economy.
Eh.
The US has by far the largest
Oh.
network of military
Nope.
bases operating outside of its territory.
Yes, we do.
Information regarding the exact number and location of such
Set those up.
bases involves classified information, so we can only estimate the total extent of the overseas military presence. Back in 2013, the Pentagon stated that there were around 600
That's
military
cool.
bases overseas. A rough estimate would be around 1,000 overseas US military compounds. Approximately 165,000 military personnel.
Alright, what in tarnation is this shit? Who tried to make a movie and reenact some shit? Get out of here with this. That man's like 80 years old. Get him out of here. Look at the man wearing all black. He's like a freaking SWAT team. Ah! At least put him in the right gear. We're not wearing black. Black stands out. We have that dark coyote brown if it's not camo. Come on.
Is stationed outside the United
National
States.
Guard wanna
This
be
doesn't
shit.
include areas of conflict such as Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. The US has significant forces deployed in around 55 countries and autonomous territories. It is also estimated that more than 150 countries have a certain degree of US military
Hey,
presence.
don't worry about where we are.
Alliances.
Yep. You know
The
where
United
fuck we
States can rely on a vast network of alliances. It is the de facto leader of NATO, the world's strongest military alliance. 18 other countries are designated as major non-NATO allies. This list includes countries like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Thailand, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Egypt, Israel, Argentina, and Brazil.
are. Nice.
Taiwan's status is a bit more complicated and it can be considered a de facto ally. Some countries are not formal allies but have a strong strategic partnership with the US. One notable example is India, that participates in regular military drills together with US forces and some of its allies.
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action game War Thunder has received a major
I got War Thunder.
Economy. Modern warfare is sustained in the long term by two main factors: the capacity to produce military equipment and the capacity to spend money on defence.
Oh, we do it too,
American
baby.
defence companies are the indisputable top producers of weaponry.
That's sexy.
Among the world's top 10 defence suppliers, 5 of them are American companies.
That's big
Lockheed
up war.
Martin is the biggest. It reported a
That is
revenue
SL.
of almost 60 billion US dollars in 2019. That's close to Russia's entire annual military spending.
The money sign's supposed to go in front. Put it in the front.
The strength of the US military is also due to its huge military budget.
How big
In
that
2019, spending on the US military was a whopping 732 billion US dollars.
And yet they can't
That's
let me hold
almost
$1
3
million.
times more than China, the world's second largest military spender, and is roughly 1/3 of the entire world's defense budget. While Russia is commonly regarded as the second most powerful army in the world, its budget consists of only $65 billion. Arguably, there is an aspect of purchasing power. For example, it's cheaper to pay a Russian or
The
Chinese
hell is that?
soldier, but the cost of high quality military equipment is still the same around the world. The reason that the US can afford such an enormous military budget is that it's supported by a strong economy. America has been the world's largest economy
We just
since
print money. We do what we want.
1871. Its nominal GDP is currently 21.44 trillion US dollars. This is almost a quarter of the global economy, and it's backed with plenty of natural resources, advanced infrastructure, and technology.
Oh,
Besides
God. Oh, y'all saw that?
with
Hold
plenty
up.
of natural resources, advanced
Hold
infrastructure,
up. Look at that. Oh, what a clusterfuck that is. I'm so glad I didn't have to build that mess. Wow. The anxiety that gives me. And you got that many roads and not a lot of traffic? I call bullshit.
and technology. Besides the ability to sustain an enormous defence budget, the US often uses its economic strength as a weapon by enforcing economic sanctions.
Yeah, they don't really work too
Soft
well if you got
factors.
other people that are
Soft
supplying.
power is another factor that comes into play when assessing a country's might. The US is world beating in culture, education, and technology.
Yep.
American pop culture has an enormous influence, and this won't change
I
anytime
see
soon.
noise making.
America also hosts most of the world's top ranking universities with a record number of international students. The US leads the world of technology and digitalization as home to the world's most influential tech companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. It's easy to think that this doesn't seem important in warfare, but imagine an enemy soldier that would have to attack the country where his cousin studies, the country of his favourite music band, the country of his favourite actors from the movie that he watches on an American media platform like YouTube, or an American smartphone with American software. Finally, there is another critical aspect. It is called the will to fight, and this is the single most important factor in war. The will to fight is the disposition to engage in combat, the determination to keep fighting even when facing precarious odds, and finally to win. At an individual level, a soldier with a low will to fight will avoid engagement with the enemy and is likely to flee when things get tough. A battle is won when the enemy's will to fight is broken. Wars don't end when one military destroys the other. Wars end when one side grows weary of fighting, doesn't see any further purpose in the continuation of the conflict, and gives up. The national will to fight is what keeps a nation fighting. This is commonly linked to a sense of patriotism, national identity, and motivation generated by the idea that one fights for what is right. In the past, this has been a strong point of the US, as Americans have been fighting against dictators and terrorists that lacked concern for human life and dignity. In contrast, the USA has been regarded as a country that embodies values of freedom, democracy, and rule of law. It was the country that defined such values. Even more, it was the country that was willing to fight for these values. The American soldier has been motivated by a sense of moral supremacy rooted in the country's Christian tradition. However, America doesn't seem to be so cohesive in its values anymore. There are many factors intertwined that provoke this. It's a complex topic that deserves a study on its own. But the outcome is that America is now a country that is greatly divided among ideological lines and systems of belief. Many of its citizens are not sure what to believe in anymore, or even what they stand for. There have been many lessons in history. Small nations became great empires by holding high moral standards along with a disciplined and motivated army. A great empire's fall was usually preceded by internal strife and moral crisis. The final story of the United States of America as a global power is not yet written. The nation's strength rests upon its citizens and their decisions. It's a matter of this great nation getting back its cohesion and moral compass. That is, if it wants to keep its status as the world's greatest superpower and defender of freedom.
Wow. Wow. That one, that was a good video. That was a good one. Um, Everything she said at the end was absolutely right. If we don't get our head out of our asses, figure out what's important in life, and live to and learn to work together, we're fucked. Um, it won't be like instantly, 10, 20 years. It's not going to be like that. But we still have a chance to where we recognize everybody as an individual, but in the same time, we have to accept everybody and not force judgment, not force an idea of what you want people to believe. It is okay to not agree and believe the same thing in the United States and still get along. The last 10 years, the last 10 years have been nuts. I've seen families and friends that were best of friends and they're so close, and then something happens. They're like, "No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. I hate you. Don't ever talk to me." Or you're like, the Facebook page. Holy crap! Look how many of your friends probably deleted you because you didn't agree with a president or this policy, and you're just like, what happened to being friends? You're allowed to disagree. That's the beauty of what America is, a mixing pot of cultures and opinions. It's what, I mean, if we all thought the same, this shit would be boring. We would have all the same type of TV shows, the same type of movies, the same type of dressing and clothing. Same, everybody be driving Priuses or some crap like that. Like, why? Why do we do this to ourselves? High horse, I'm off of you. All right. That was a great video. That was awesome. Hey, this is Willie P. Please like, subscribe. Uh, Everything that everybody else says, uh, man, I'm hyped. That got me. That got me. Hey, that was fun. Hey, have a good night.